but it is 6:03. Seth, do we have a quorum?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we've got 6, I think.
Okay. Well, maybe give it like 2 more minutes then before we get started. I know that I've got to leave in like 20 minutes, but Michelle has agreed to take on the role of facilitating in my absence. So,
Justin, maybe we could do a who's here sort of round robin, because there are a couple phone numbers.
okay, great. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So, Seth, would you call out visually who you see, and then we'll do a round robin of phone calls?
Sure. So there's me, we've got Donna, we've got Cody, we've got Megan, Miguel, Piper, Steve Brockman. One of those numbers is mine because I'm on a cell phone. We've got somebody in as just meeting guest. Do they know who that is?
Okay. All right. And so I'm on phone, Justin Davis. Is there any other member on phone that we have not identified?
We've got somebody who's 303 and your phone number ends in 10.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll just have to just make sure, Seth, that we have a quorum for any business that may require voting. But because it is 6:05, we do want to honor our time. So we will officially call this meeting to order of the Inclusivity Board of the City of Westminster. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Our first order of business, welcoming Steve Brockman. Welcome, Steve, if you're here. I don't know if you're here or not.
I'm here. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I don't have a face to put with my voice, but I look forward to spending some time and getting to know you, and we'll get an orientation under your way here pretty quickly.
Okay, super, thanks.
Okay, awesome. Team building, I know, is a little bit hard when we're in the virtual world, but what I would encourage you to do is either use the chat if you're virtual, and or you can just, indicate some point tonight if you're grateful or you're inspired by something that you have interacted with in the past 2 weeks. So I do know that we have a few items of business on the table. We do have a presentations by One Book Westminster. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to our libraries friends. Thank you.
Oh, all right. That's me.
And Michelle's in the lobby. She'll be right in.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am Julie Twiss from the College Hill branch or main library here in Westminster. I work in adult services, and I am so excited to talk to you about One Book today. First, I want to thank you for having me here and for the work that you do. It's really appreciated and needed in the community. So, like you, the Westminster Public Library is dedicated to providing inclusive programs, services, resources, materials for all people in Westminster. We think that everyone, and I mean everyone, should feel welcome at the library and in our community. So as part of our ongoing commitment to inclusivity, celebrating diversity, and of course, promoting literacy, we are launching or relaunching for the first time in over a decade, One Book Westminster. So if you're not familiar, One Book is a program where everyone in the community, or as many people as we can get, read the same book and then come together to talk about it and have community events. And then we have the author come speak. So our book that we have picked for this year is going to be Woman of Light. I don't know if you can see this on the, where's the camera?
It's right there, right under the TV. Yeah.
Here. come up close. So Woman of Light by Kali Fajardo Weinstein. She is from Denver, an author, a former her previous book, Sabrina and Karina, is a National Book Award finalist. She is currently the endowed chair of creative writing at Texas State University, and Woman of Light came out in June of this year and has been on bestseller lists. They always say don't judge a book by its cover, but I'm going to say go ahead and throw that out because it's a gorgeous cover and a lovely book. And if you're on the phone, I'm sorry you can't see it, but it's beautiful. So we are hoping that the One Book Westminster will build on shared experiences and shared stories of reading the same book to create spaces for conversations and connections across diverse communities. So let me see, from the book cover, we have that it is a dazzling epic of betrayal, love, and fate that spans 5 generations of an indigenous Chicano family in the American West. It is largely set in Denver in the 1930s, and it also has some historical happenings on the western slope. So due to the amazing, quality of the writing, a National Book Award finalist, and all of the local connections, plus her really unique Chicana and Indigenous and Filipino background gives her a really interesting place to come. And so she is going to be speaking March 11th at College Hill, actually in the rotunda at the at Front Range Community College, about intersectionality and claiming identity as a way to empower your experience and your way of being in the world. So some events that we're going to be doing, we're going to have 4 book discussions, 2 at College Hill, 2 at Irving Street. One of those will be completely in Spanish at Irving Street. And these events will all take place throughout January, February, March, and into April. So the book discussions will all be January and February. We're going to have a history. It is history of the Chicano movement in Colorado by Dr. Nikki Gonzalez, who is our first Latina state historian. She will be speaking at College Hill on February 18th. We're also partnering with the Museo de las Americas to have a family stories workshop with artist Carmen Lomez Garza. And we're going to have an art exhibit at College Hill on display for the months of March and April. And then we'll end with the signature event of the author talk with Kali herself on hand to speak and then do a book signing. So part of this is supporting these programs and events that we feel like have real potential to bring lots of different groups in the community together. Part of that is through our collection. We are purchasing 40 books in large print, Spanish, and regular, books. I don't even know what to call books anymore. But for circulation to have in our collection, we're also purchasing 50 book books to distribute throughout the community for people to read and then pass on, kind of kind of like a little free library model, to just go out into the world. Starting in January, we're going to have the English and Spanish versions of the audiobook and the ebooks. So the digital versions in both English and Spanish available without holds for starting in January through, I believe, through March. So that anyone and everyone, hopefully who wants to read the book will have access. And because it is a pretty popular book, there are, and she is heavily connected to Denver. There are lots of copies at area libraries other than ourselves. We believe that the One Book Westminster program really complements our summer reading program, which we just ended the, I don't know if it was the highest participation rate, but it did have the highest completion rate at over 70%. We had over 3,000 people that signed up and read this summer. So it's kind of a nice counterpoint, to that in the winter. Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we're pretty happy about it. So this complements, our literacy push, as well as, having the library be a place of connections. We also have several other inclusive programs that I'd like to share with you really quickly. We are also doing a Writing Rainbows writing workshop. We're partnered with the Transgender Center of the Rockies. And it's a monthly writing group there. And then we are going to have another local author panel, Dynamic Perspectives. There you are, October 19th, with 4 different authors that are going to come and talk. And we also have I have to plug my my baby here, which is the College Hill Community Hour. We are the 3rd Thursday of every month from 2 to 3. We will have coffee and tea and snacks and things provided by Zoe's Coffee. Cool. And somebody from the city or a local organization there to share. So the idea is that it's not a presentation, it's a conversation. So tomorrow is our first one, and we will have Ann Gundrum, who is the naturalist at Stanley Lake Regional Park, there to just hang out and talk. So if you can join us, we'd love that. Let me see here. So that's kind of the basics of the One Book program and some exciting things that are happening at the library. But I'm here not just to share what we're doing, but to ask you for your support. This is a very expensive program to put on, between the art exhibit and workshops, the author talks, the addition to the collection, the state historian, and we as the library and as adult services in particular have committed a very large chunk of our budget, because we believe in this program and we believe in the potential of this book and this community to come together throughout these events and to really build on this. So if you have any connections to businesses, or if you as a board would like to support, either with your time or your energy, we'll take we'll take your money, we'll take your marketing, we'll take, whatever you have to offer. And we're also looking for kind of one book ambassadors, people that will go out and share with other community organizations, kind of what the program is and what we're doing and about the book. And I have a couple copies of the book here. This is, you can see this is the Spanish language one. And then I actually had to borrow a friend's personal copy because all of our books are checked out, which is great. So one other thing I will do, it's my one rule, my one library stereotype. I said I would not break, but I'm going to go ahead and say shh and shush you just a little, because we want you to be really excited about it, but not until December. Because we're not announcing it until mid-December to be timed with the release of the Parks and Rec activity guide.
Oh.
So that's when we'll have information about all the events out, and then starting in January, we'll really kind of hit hard. So you get, this is your secret kind of behind the scenes look. But what questions do you have for me? Oh, yay.
Go ahead, Alan.
Awesome.
Hi, Julie. So are you going to have posters that can be
Yes.
beyond the library, but in other
Yes.
places? Okay.
Yes. We are looking at a kind of a full court media press, depending on sponsorships and what we can get. That's right now is kind of where we're trying to focus on is marketing and getting word out to the community. So our Irving Street location started in-person programming this summer for the first time since 2020. And last week is our first time at College Hill. So we are just, we've been just ready for this. So we're kind of trying to figure out how to do this again and how to have people in person and how to manage all this and so any assistance, financially, energy, whatever connections, anything like that, any other groups that you can think of that we should be working with. We're, partnered with Museo and the author herself, as well as it's a Latinx student leadership group at Front Range, as well as we reached out to Reforma, which is a library for Spanish-speaking services. So if you have, sorry, I'll stop talking now. Yeah. Steve? Yeah.
Yeah. Julie, I have a question. You mentioned this is the first time that you've pursued this one reads in about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience with other communities that have done it, usually try to keep some consistency so it sort of builds momentum. Just give me a little background on why the library chose or the community chose not to have it in the past decade or so.
I don't know that I can shed much light on the history. I know the last, since 2020, we've had a pandemic and major construction. Right. So that's kind of been our, but our intention is that this is not a one-time thing. This is something that we want to build on for sure.
Great. And has the council provided money on an annual basis, or are they looking at ongoing programming for the library in this area?
Not yet that I know of.
So the council unlikely to get that far into a programmatic budget item. They tend to stay by department and division
Right.
and in certain buckets. So
Yeah.
then becomes how the department uses those dollars.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Looks like a great program.
Like Donna has is Justin on the call?
He's on the phone, but
Oh,
he
he's
has
on
to
the
get off at
Oh,
20
okay.
after. Sorry, and I've got.
No worries. I just needed to know if I needed to pick up my duties.
I think that's how.
So Donna, you had your hand up as well?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Joy, I am a resident of a senior living community, Covenant Living of Colorado over on basically 92nd and Wadsworth. We have a book group here. I think this might be something that I would like to present to them, but it's the sort of thing that I would need some materials enough ahead of time that I could present it, to at least to the chairperson of that group and that sort of thing. How soon, if you're not starting the program until December, but how soon would some things be available that I could get, and then I can sit down with the person who chairs that group and we could talk a little bit about whether or not this might be something they would want to do.
Yeah. So do you know like how far in advance they pick books or that they discuss or?
That if I had some materials available to me, maybe in, I don't know if early November would be too early, but in November, it's a month ahead of time so that, they could at least, if they haven't already chosen something, what I will do in the next couple of days is talk to that person. I can't remember who it is right off the top of my head, but see if it's something that they might be interested in. But I could see this as a group that might want to do something of this nature.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a good answer for you right now, but I will track one down and get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. And it looks like Megan, you have your hand up?
Yeah, hi.
Hey.
I love that you are doing this, and I love your book choice as well. And my question is, this year's book is obviously very intentionally, a Denver author, somebody who is, an author from a historically marginalized community who leads to some great conversation pieces, like you said, a discussion on intersectionality and some history pieces. Is part of your long-term plan for this program to keep the program about diversity or make sure that it's authors from historically marginalized communities going forward, or is that just it happens to be the book you chose this year?
No, that is definitely very intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And part of that process, so this book kind of came about just because we really believe in this author and this book and are really excited about this and kind of just the timing was just it worked. So but moving forward, we would like to have those, I mentioned like one book ambassadors and but to have real community input on what people are concerned about, what people want to read, and to really highlight different parts of the community and yeah.
Go ahead, Alan.
Real
Yeah.
quick, I think this is a great idea and it's a great kickoff for this. Would the publisher let you get any of the books, a group of them, like at a discount so more people could afford, who can't afford to read them? You think that's a possibility? Do they do that?
Possibly.
Rich just
Yeah.
join us and we've had some activity thing.
We will have the digital versions available.
Like Kindles or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the ebooks and the audiobooks will be available all the time. So we're changing. So normally the library purchases one we have this electronic copy that we can check out to this person and then to this person, more like a traditional book. For this, we are switching to a cost per circulation model, which means that we just set aside a bucket of collection money and then they just pull from it as needed. So it will always be available. So anybody who goes on, there will be no holds, no waits, any of that for the electronic versions. So we're going to encourage as many people as possible to get the electronic versions. But we do have some flexibility to hopefully, purchase more if we need to.
And it looks like Miguel has his hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm driving, but yeah, I just thought this was awesome. Like, this seems like one of the most inclusive ideas moving forward that I've heard about in the city, so I'm super excited. Obviously, I think tattered covers should be on your list, potentially to talk to the ownership team there. They're strong into diversity. Local coffee shops, and I put also La Voz, which is like a Latin magazine that.
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. Can you repeat pretty much everything after tattered cover? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. I think your connection's bad, but Miguel, I think I heard you say local coffee shops would be a great place. And then also La Voz, which, so that's that local sort of magazine style publication.
And he did say in the chat, Servicios de la Raza, and they're Denver-based service group, but they serve Westminster residents. They're very active. Their CEO is part of the Chicano movement. His family is too, so they'd probably be very supportive.
Nice, thank you.
If you need contact, call me and I'll set you up with the person I know there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I may interject, I think, to build on, oh, there you go.
You're welcome. I'm getting good at this.
You're the ultimate multitasker.
No, I'm going tonight.
But I kind of wanted to build on, Donna's offer to bring it to her senior center. We have a lot of senior living facilities within the community as a whole. So I think it'd be great if we could do some outreach to them, either, if the library system has bandwidth to do that, I think it'd be a great way to, I know. I say that but I think that would be really great because, a lot of seniors in retirement facilities do read a lot and would probably be very interested in some new suggestions.
And we will have some large print copies as well,
which is amazing. Yeah. And then my question is, and I may have been taking notes and you may have said something, I might have missed it. Is there going to be any sort of intersection with any English classes within the Westminster Public Schools where we could maybe make it a multi-generational community effort?
We have talked about reaching out particularly to high schools. Because it is an adult book.
Right.
But we do have one of the programs that we're partnering with Museo on is a family stories workshop.
Okay.
Because part of the story is about recording family stories and, talking to the people that came before and really using the past to inform the present. And there's some really beautiful connections there. But we have not, as far as I know, reached out to the schools directly yet. Okay. But yeah.
Well, and Justin, who had to leave us, does work for Westminster Public Schools. Yes. So I will mention to him to see if he has a good way to maybe approach that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
And I did want to mention that we, I believe, was it Miguel that brought up Tattered Cover?
Mhm.
Yeah, so we have talked to them, and they actually, I believe the Colfax location did she did a book signing there a while back, or when her book first came out in this summer. But we are partnering with the Boulder Bookstore because of other connections, to have the books on hand for signing. So
is there a reason not the Westminster one?
I believe that there is a reason, but I am not privy to that conversation. I mean, I know that our team, someone on our team did reach out to the Tattered Cover.
Okay.
Before going somewhere else. But we have worked very well with Boulder Bookstore and supplying different local authors things in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure where that got weird.
Okay.
But
Yeah. If you could find out who talked to who, I might be able to, economic development might be able to help. I mean, they're brand new.
Right.
They have a
I
huge
mean, it
desire to be
seems-
active in the city. They really are trying. And so maybe it might be having somebody make an introduction to help. And if there's some great reason why not this time, at least build it for other opportunities. I think really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
do that. So
it's a really wonderful
yeah,
location too.
yeah,
That's great.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the Family Stories Workshop, that, when you talk about inclusivity, that's a perfect thing for it's multi-generational. For those of people who may go back 40 plus years, you might remember there was something similar to this, the Foxfire books. I don't know if you recall
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Wow, that's way before you were around, right?
It's
You're a librarian.
Appalachia.
Yes,
I grew up in Tennessee. Yeah.
and highly successful, perfect
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like, so Donna, did you have a new question?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I know Bev is not with us tonight, but her connection to Growing Home also could be another good connection, because many
Great
of
idea.
their people that participate in that program are Hispanic, Chicano, and so we want to make sure that she gets this information in enough time to maybe get something through that board down there too. So I just am encouraging us to make sure that that happens.
Absolutely. And they are wonderful partners with our Irving Street location and the community garden there.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Right. And they do, they do a program with parents and so forth. So I think that could also be a really good connection.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I have a question for you. So I know we're embargoed until December. Do you know roughly when?
So mid-December, whenever the activity guide comes out, is kind of the launch. And then it'll either be then or January 1st. We're going to do, Kali is going to record I'm so excited to partner with Westminster Public Library. Read my book, come and see me, and participate in all these great things. So she's going to do a video.
Oh, nice.
To kind of officially launch, the program. So.
And what other materials will be prepared and ready and waiting when, this becomes a public thing? Will you have sort of like a one sheet like this that we can, go around to businesses and?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely that. We are still working with our PR team because we have, the parks, rec, libraries, open space, golf, what else? We all have the same, people. So we're kind of working with, we have a library PR team, and then we have the Parks and Rec PR team that we're working with them to develop materials now. I'm hoping to have bookmarks with this beautiful cover on the front, and then like a list of the events on the back. We've talked about doing an ad campaign on Colorado Public Radio. We know a few other communities that have had success with their author talks, doing a few like 30-second slots the week before an event, just kind of last, as well as hopefully a full landing site on our webpage. And
we also have
Yeah,
social
we're-
media posts that we could use to repost.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we are, especially our adult services team and really everyone at the library. This is not a program that we're doing because we do programs. This is something that we are heavily invested in and are really excited about. So we are going to be putting just everything we have in this. So if you think of something later or anything, please reach out anytime to myself or to Jeffrey Eggleston, who is the adult librarian at College Hill. This is his baby. He's negotiating the contracts and doing all of putting all the pieces together. But we would love your support in any form that it comes. And I will absolutely be in touch as we kind of proceed. So were there any other?
So Miguel
Before I
said
kind of-
he can circulate with
Yeah.
Kaiser Permanente Colorado Latin Business Resource Group and get some flyers in the Northwest community. This group does have a small budget, but we'll need to have some conversation about what that looks like. And so we can do that offline and then have a conversation at the next meeting. When you begin, and when the libraries to begin promoting this, if you could send it to me, I can make sure that this group has that and then they can use it in their networks and resources also. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank
To
you.
help.
Yeah.
And so I also offered economic development, and what was the other one? There's one other thing, if you told me I would get it for you.
An email or I just wrote down email.
Send that to
Okay.
Cody so she can.
Yeah, yeah, email me whatever you have. And Jeffrey has my email too. We've been communicating, so he can send me whatever you have. And if you can send us what you're looking for, what might be helpful in the way of support, all kinds of support from Alan being your next. Well, I guess Miguel's actually going to be the ambassador here. He's somewhere with all the ideas and the connections, those sorts of things that outline all of those. And I can circulate that, and this group can talk about who really has the capacity to do that, or also make connections to local businesses, that sort of thing. The email was Servicios. So, if you or Jeffrey would follow up with me on Servicios, who's been working with Tattered Cover in Westminster, what happened there, and then when you get to the flyers and messaging, and then in the meantime, just how we can support. So that's 4 things. That's achievable. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Sounds pretty good. Yeah. And I'll suggest to Justin, we make it an agenda point for next time to sort of formalize what we want to do to help support your efforts, because that should be in about the right amount of time. Oh, Donna has her hand up one more time. Is that for Julie?
Can I ask a question?
No, I was going to ask whether or not tonight we needed to have a motion that we will be supporting this program. But if what your thought is to have Justin bring something up at the next meeting, I think that would be soon enough. But I just think it would be helpful to have us take that motion and move it forward and in support. So, but if that's what you're planning.
I would normally be in support of doing that, except I feel like we're missing some key members of the board who could benefit from hearing this information. So I think what we should do, we'll follow up maybe with an email afterward to encourage anybody who wasn't in attendance tonight to maybe watch the recording, because I think we're going to elicit some more suggestions and ideas, and then maybe we can formalize our plan.
And I just want to say thank you, Cody, for your willingness to request the kind of information you did from Julie to get out to us. I appreciate that very much.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. I'm here for you. When I multitask well. And I agree. I think in the way of support, you need a little bit more information on what those things look like before we can.
Correct, exactly. It looks like Seth, you have your hand up? Oh, you're muted now.
Sorry.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, no, maybe it's typing.
This is Doug. Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure. Yes, go ahead, Doug.
I've had terrible technical difficulties, so I apologize if you've covered this. I was just wondering how much of the activity is going to be down at Irving Street and how much is going to be up at College Hill, just given the diversity of our population.
Right. No, that's a great question. So 2 of the 4 book discussions will be at Irving Street, one of those entirely in Spanish. And the family story time or family story program with the artists through Museo will be at Irving Street as well. We're also, let's see, we've also talked about possibly transportation.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what that would look like, but otherwise I believe the rest of the events are going to be held up at College Hill, or actually at the Rotunda at Front Range because of the size.
Right.
Irving Street is a wonderful facility, but it doesn't hold a lot of people in one area.
Right.
So, and parking, yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could work out the transportation, that would be fantastic for a lot of the members or population down there.
Am I unmuted now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
There you go. Yay!
Just a quick question for the minute. Julie, could you spell your last name for me and tell me also spell the name of was it Jeffrey at College Hill Library?
Yes. Okay, so my last name is Twiss, Twiss. That's 2 S's as in Sam at the end. And then Jeffrey is with a J. Okay. And his last name is Eggleston. So Eggleston.
Okay, thanks.
Of course, thank you.
Julie, just quickly, how many times a year will you be doing something, the libraries be doing something like this?
Like this?
Is it like twice a year?
Once a year. Yeah, it's kind of the balance, like I mentioned to our summer reading, because we put a lot into summer reading, which is for all ages. It is not just for kids. Grown-ups get prizes too. And we actually had a lot of adult participation this last year, which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're hoping that something at this level will be an annual event that we'll do like in the winter, spring kind of lead up past there. And just to give y'all a kind of an idea of, the costs and things that we're looking at here, our kind of hopeful budget is about $10,000 for this. Fully half of that goes to the author, which we are getting her for a deal, because I don't know if you've looked into authors before, but they are very expensive. So this is to get a National Book Award finalist and, you know, somebody who has a new bestseller out. It's really kind of shocking to say $5,000, but that is, you know, less than the going rate, actually. But she does have a lot of local ties. So, and then the art exhibit that Museo is bringing over to have for 2 months at College Hill, that's $2,000. Publicity and marketing, we're budgeting $1,500. We're spending $1,000 for collection development, and our collections team has eaten some of that cost already. And then $500 for the state historian presentation. So that's kind of the rough breakout there of kind of what we're looking at financially. So yeah, did anyone else have any other questions or anything for me?
That's it. Looks like everybody else is good. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming in person and letting us know what's happening, and also for your enthusiasm, because you got me all excited. Like even more than I already was. I was all like, oh my God, this is
very excited too.
No, I think it's great, and I love the fact that the intention is not just for reading, it's for community interaction and participation. So
yeah, absolutely.
That
package.
Cool.
So I have a couple of kind of the highlights here that kind of talks about Woman of Light with the kind of a little blurb about what it's about, kind of an overview of a one book program, how to participate. First of all, I hope you'll all read the book. Because that is where we start. And then some of the specifics on the programs themselves. And then the support that we've asked for. My card is attached to these. Please reach out if you have any questions at all about this or other things at the library. If you have anything that you want to see at the library, we are always open to ideas and suggestions, especially from engaged members of the community like yourselves. So thank you again for having me here and for your enthusiasm about this. I look forward to being in contact with you again.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
They really
appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna step out and leave you to your business.
Yeah,
Thank
now
you.
now it's all
Appreciate
evening.
it.
Now
Yeah.
it's all just business.
Yes, now it's all just fun. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And I sort of missed the number. I think we have a quorum, right? So we can go ahead and move on to the approval of previous meeting minutes. Is that correct, Seth?
Well, I'm counting 9 or 10 people. So.
Perfect. Yeah, it looks like it just, yeah. Okay, perfect. So can I get someone to move to approve the meeting minutes from the August board meeting?
Quickly before we do that, I just.
Oh, yes, sorry.
There was I wasn't here to call it out in live time last time, but there was a business item on the agenda and in the meetings asking the council to move me from alternate to regular. I clarified this with Abby afterwards, but I was moved to regular last November. So I'm not sure where that came up, but I would like it reflected somewhere, either in minutes for tonight, or just removing it completely from the minutes last time, because I don't know where that error came in, but that already happened.
That's what I had thought, but then I was like, maybe I don't know something.
Yeah.
I am making a note of it in this month's minutes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we can go ahead and have someone move to approve the meeting minutes for the August board meeting with the corrections as noted tonight.
This is Donna. I will make that motion.
Perfect.
This is Doug. I'll second it. I'll
Perfect.
second it.
Excellent. All those in favor? Aye or hands?
Aye.
Go ahead.
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye. No, I mean aye, not opposed. I'm
No,
not
no,
opposed.
no.
I was trying to raise
Okay.
my hand, but my camera's not working.
It's all good. Don't worry about it, Jillian. No one, anyone in opposition? Great. Okay. Do we have?
We don't have a
Mayor Pro Tem?
council person this evening.
Okay.
There was some conflicts and some folks out of town, so nobody could make it. So
Okay.
apologies.
Do you have
I
some
can-
top line items to, yeah, I know.
Like, it was a month ago. Do you all know that a new city manager was hired and begins October 24th? Like the big news.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually even talked. Did we talk about that last month? I can't remember.
I don't remember. That's why I was like, I
Have you met
don't.
him?
Well, just through community meetings and
Okay.
interviews,
Right.
you know, the
Yeah.
panels I sat on, that's all.
Yeah, I personally went to the meet and greet.
So the the contract has been approved?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
There's a
and
start
signed.
date of October 24th.
Okay.
So we're gearing up for that. Trying to think what else. council-
What is the actual sort of succession plan? Like, when does Jody, like, how is it working?
So October 24th. October
literally
23rd will
his
be
first
Jody's
day.
last day
Okay.
as interim, and October 24th will be Mark's first day as city manager.
Okay.
Jody will go back to his deputy position because that position still exists.
Perfect.
And all other things will remain the same.
Okay. Perfect. Will the new city manager start to participate in meetings prior to that date or no? Okay.
We don't believe so.
Okay.
He's fully committed to the organization he's still currently with. And so at least for some time, we'll continue, doing that work, right? It's a transition of any kind.
Yeah.
He and his family will move here closer to that October 24th date. I don't know exactly when that is. So, but right now, we have the mayor speaks to him regularly, and I think some of the other counselors have had some conversations. Jody speaks to him on a weekly basis. They have a set time just to work through the transitions and what his focus areas are and things like that. And then the mayor's doing the same and sort of moving that along. So that's sort of our really big news. Council meetings, I think a lot of you are paying attention to what's happening at them each week. The big item this week was the metro districts. We didn't meet the 2 weeks before that. They didn't meet due to a holiday and a fifth Monday. Sort of weird when there's a big gap. But employee appreciation was last week and one of those gaps. So there was a lot of employee activities and, supporting the workforce and recognizing everybody's hard work over the last forever, since some of these people have been here since before I was born. So, for their entirety, and then the new ones too, and bringing them into the family. So those are sort of the big things. I guess we probably only met 4 weeks ago. I don't remember that far back.
So I was at
Yeah.
the city council meeting this week. So the budget was passed?
No, so the
That's
budget is still coming. This Monday night was the opportunity for public input on the budget. This upcoming, so the study session next week, the 19th, is pretty big. There's a lot going on. So if you're interested and curious, it'll be a fun night. There's a budget conversation. The two that I think are most relevant to this group are the budget conversation, of course, and then the other one is homelessness. So even if you can't listen this Monday, the 19th, please do go listen to the recording sometime between our next meeting, because Kate will be here at the meeting, our next meeting in October. Oh my gosh, it's September. And well into September. So Kate will be here to talk about that, and they're doing a pretty nice cross-disciplinary presentation on the 19th. So I think there's a lot to come. Not that we had a quiet month by any means, but we had those couple weeks where there's no meeting. So it's sort of, your conversations are different.
Yeah.
And tonight they're at a CASA support event, and there's another one, I think one that maybe Juliet's at. That's why she's not here.
Okay.
The court appointed, is that what you mean?
Yeah, CASA, the CASA of Adams County. Oh, there's a COPS, Cuisine with COPS is the other one tonight. So we're hoping to find out.
Looks like Steve has a question.
Yes, would it be possible to invite Mark to our November meeting so we can meet him and talk a little bit about the role of the Inclusivity Board?
Yeah, there's a whole series of things that are coming along with his, as you can imagine, of the, I think 12 boards we have, probably everybody wants some of that. We have something like 40 business owners who are already on a list. So there's quite a few people, and first 30 days, I'm the one who's building his first 30 days. There's not a day without something right now, except for Sundays. So ideally,
November,
yes, he will be
December,
doing that,
I
but
don't
it may
know.
not be November, right?
Yeah.
So we're hoping, yes, and boards and commissions are on the list of groups that we're hoping that he has an opportunity to interact with and meet. Just not exactly sure how soon that will happen with, and I would say that for anybody right now. Like, I'm asking people to prioritize their needs, because he also has some focus areas, right? One of the first things that will happen and is already underway is the recruitment of a new police chief. We're midway through the recruitment of an HR director. We'll have eventually a public works director recruitment. There's a number of interim positions right now that he will likely come in here and start filling. And like I said, police is number one priority. So a lot of those things will factor into his time as well. But don't think that the boards are not on the list, because I made sure they are. It's an important stakeholder group.
Yep.
So yeah.
Excellent. All right, thank you for that. Let me see, new business. Did we have anything that was ready for prime time?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. And actually, Piper, I'm not sure, were you able to get a response from Juliet on the presentation?
We did meet with Juliet. We're probably going to be looking at having a subcommittee meeting / voting sometime soon. I'm still working with Justin to schedule.
Perfect. I just wasn't sure. Yeah, I was on that chain. I just wasn't sure if you had made contact yet. Okay, so that'll be next meeting. So we don't have a lot of folks here. Actually, Miguel, we do have you on the line. Do you have any updates on that police community board that you're serving on? Is there any new news coming out of that? Hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot.
Major, no problem. Yeah, nothing major. Obviously the conversation about the new chief was brought up as, the new city manager was announced. There was a presentation that was pretty in-depth given on kind of tracking fentanyl related crime, unfortunately, deaths and injuries with, sort of associated to that. And there's like a whole, organization that's kind of more, not just Westminster's only, but it's kind of like northern Adams and a bunch of different parts of northwestern Colorado that have like a task force working on addressing, the concerns of fentanyl in the community. I think I would still like to see if we could get on the agenda, and the chief's open to doing this, is kind of maybe have the police worn body cameras presented to the board and just understanding them better and, how they're being used and, just a perspective on them. I think that would be helpful. So if there's some space on the agenda upcoming, maybe we can coordinate that.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely put that on the list of desired content. Is there a particular person that you would want to invite to do that presentation?
Let me reach out to Chief, and kind of say, hey, maybe it's the gentleman who presented them last time available, or there's maybe someone else, and maybe should I use the date for the next board meeting, or should I have to make sure there's not a conflict, obviously, with the community board for the chief, because I think every other Wednesday or every other month that there is a conflict there. So maybe I'll look at the calendar and see when there isn't a conflict and see if that slot would be available and who he would recommend.
Perfect. Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind just emailing that to Justin, CCing Cody and Kate.
Yeah. Our next meeting is, I think, the 12th. And I feel like that one's gonna be pretty full with Kate here and homelessness. So if November 9th might be, Miguel, a good idea?
Yeah, I agree, because I think the 12th is the same time as that board. So what I can even do is maybe send some initial conversations and then, kind of lock it in with the chief on the 12th for the 9th sort of thing of November, October, or November.
Whatever, that future month, November 9th. Yeah, that'd be great. Let me know if I can help in any way.
Okay, sure. I'll start it off and let you know if I need anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, cool. Is that everything then from the police community board?
Yeah, that's the extent of it.
Okay, perfect.
Nothing else major to report.
Okay, perfect. All righty. I don't know if do we have, let me see, safe and welcome, we talked about that. I don't know if we really have anything else on the agenda, or do we, Alan? Oh, you looked at me like you did. He's ready. His head whipped over at me like, don't you know? Okay.
No, I'm just heartened by the idea that the study session, that the homelessness is part of a major thing to talk about, but.
Yeah, it's been a topic of conversation at most council meetings of late. Yeah.
Okay.
Megan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just curious how everyone's feeling about Teams as our app for meeting on right now. I feel like I'm having a few issues with it not being quite as cohesive as we used to be.
Unfortunately, this is what the city's using now.
Oh, okay.
This gives us the ability to record and add to the YouTube channel and post on the board webpage and that sort of thing. And it's sort of across the city. We're not using GoTo meetings anymore. GoTo webinars, the only use for that is with the council meetings. And I think at some point might be moving from that too. So I am very sorry for the transition time. They are doing things to try to improve it and making upgrades and that sort of thing. But this is now the platform that the city uses for all those transparency and Colorado Open Records Act and all that sort of thing. They play into this platform together.
Okay, so sometimes when I'm in the Teams meeting, there's like an ability to have a chat and sometimes there's not. It seems like it's an inconsistency with a couple of things. Do you have advice?
There should always be a chat function. What happens in mine is sometimes it opens behind in a second window.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And I don't know how to fix that. I think that's a Microsoft issue more than something the city can do.
Yeah.
I think also Teams, the chat, when we're in this hybrid orientation is really challenging because those who are in person cannot see the chat. And the reason, like, I can see it because I'm recording it from my device right now. But like, we can't see any of the chat. So maybe we could have a conversation about the way we do our meetings, inclusivity board meetings, so that maybe we don't do chat. We don't use that function in our meetings because whoever's in the room can't see it unless one of us is reading it, right? That sort of thing. We could talk about maybe things that would make it more user friendly for us.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't have a chat at all in mind today. Like I've tried to play around with Teams a couple of times and it's just sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And
This is done, and I don't either. That's why I have my hand up. I was going to bring it up because I can't find anything where I can do a chat.
Okay, well then maybe that's a good ground rule. We don't, as Inclusivity Board, we don't use chat while we're in our board meetings, so that communication is, flows more fluidly and nobody's getting left out, right?
Yeah. Well, the only problem is there may be a time when one of us might want to contact somebody else on the board and not want everybody to know what we're,
Right.
I mean, that
So I would suggest in those moments, maybe use email or something else.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever, as long as we kind of are all on the same page. But I'm with Megan. I'm struggling too to find out where I could chat, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, right. And I'm sorry about that. Mine got hidden behind, so I have two screens open.
Just a quick suggestion, since I'm pretty familiar with most of these webinar tools, perhaps a 15, 20-minute training on Teams. I'm not sure if that's occurred already with this board, but it wouldn't hurt. And maybe even a refresher, since there's obviously people like me.
Right. I can see if there's, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Steve, I've never had training on it either. And I would say probably a fair number of staff have not. We just sort of went from one platform to another and have dived into those. We could see maybe there's at the beginning of maybe we can find somebody who could give us a little overview at the next meeting. I can see if there's someone who can help us with that. Another suggestion I might make, given how things have gone the last few months, you're back on my team or I'm back on your team, however this works. I know a lot of the disconnects coming at the beginning of the meeting. It takes us about 15 minutes to get on. That might be something everybody tries to log on at least 5 to 10 minutes in advance. So then the troubleshooting can happen a little bit easier. That would help some of those, at least those connectivity things in the beginning. So we can sort of set those ground rules, and I can see about identifying somebody who has some training or expertise to get us involved or get us, better up to speed.
I think it's you, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, can you train us?
You could have volunteered. Well, this is the software that I've used the least, to be honest with you, but they're all pretty much the same. You mute your mic when you're not talking. I mean, it's just a bunch of ground rules that we could probably learn. And then the other suggestion I'm going to throw out to the rest of the committee is it really works quite well on an iPad. So that's kind of nice feature of it, that it's very easy to use on a tablet.
Good to know.
So we have to download the app. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. And I mean, I just saw it flash on the screen. It looks like Miguel found a YouTube video that might be helpful.
Okay.
As a sort of a primer on how to use it. So maybe we can just include that with like next week's agenda. Yeah. Next month's.
Right. Miguel, can we talk more about, I hear you, I mean, just because we have time, it seems like.
We do have
the chats. What would you suggest for those who are in the room? I mean, tonight there are 2, but there have been other nights where there have been closer to 7 or 8. And so I know Michelle's managed the meeting, and if one of us looks down, you don't see what pops up on the screen, or if 3 come up at once, you can't see them. We would all need to be logged into devices and in the room. And I think that's sort of something, the idea was to be more together, but do you have ideas around that? Because I saw that you like the chat, so.
Yeah, sorry, the chat's a little helpful, like especially if you're like mobile, and it's just we use Teams at Kaiser all the time, and this with larger groups, sometimes you just need to get in with a chat instead of trying to talk over everybody, or have people talking over each other. So maybe just one person designated in the room on a device, like on a cell phone or something. The app's really useful on a mobile device, and then maybe they can just on occasion you know, say, hey, or maybe if there's, read through it, and if someone says, hey, like, can Miguel tell us more about that, then they just sort of make space in the conversation to allow it to be, you know, mentioned. But I think it's good for sharing links. I mean, there's just so much, right, that you can do with a chat as opposed to having to say everything using your voice.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't disagree, just trying to make it, you know, helpful to everybody. Like Donna won't see the chat because she doesn't have it tonight. Or Megan, you are also having chat issues. Like, I feel that's unfortunate because then they're not getting this information. Seth, do you capture any of our chat in minutes?
I also
what's
do not
happening with the chat is if you open up the web app, you're not going to have as much functionality as if you're downloading or have downloaded the application to your device somehow, right? The web app is a little more limited.
I have downloaded the app. There is no chat for me. I checked. There's no extra windows. Nothing.
Do you have Teams on your phone?
Downloaded as well. I have the app downloaded as well. There's no chat.
I have the app also, and there is no chat.
Okay.
So you have a chat. Yay.
I have a chat.
It's haphazard.
I mean, mine comes from the organization, so it's different. They upload it. I don't do that. Okay, well, this is, yeah, we'll figure things out.
Figure it out. Yep. We'll just have to be flexible next time around and try our best to, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there is a solution to this one.
I don't know that.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any new business? I kind of glossed over new business, thinking that we might have a little subcommittee presentation tonight, but we don't. Does anybody have any new business that they would like to bring up? No? Great. Okay. Does anybody have any thing happening in the community that they want to share with the group?
Just a comment, and this came from when Julie was talking about the information would be, what's it, the Westminster, it's like a newsletter or something that goes out that we get.
There's a newsletter. There's also.
What about a list of?
Oh, she's talking about the activity guide.
Activities guide.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe in the activities guide, or how about a calendar of all the religious holidays for all the religions? So we can't do anything like that?
Church, state.
State.
Yep, state.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well, then never mind. I just was looking for that inclusivity.
Definitely not the first time that question's been asked.
Which is why I knew the answer.
Absolutely not the first time.
And not the first time by this group. Other councils, I don't know, and this council's been, 10 months? So in my recollection with them, I haven't had that question, but I have with others had those questions, so.
Yep.
We don't really do that.
Yep.
We try to separate them as much as we can.
I didn't even ask.
No, you did. It's a good question.
It's a very
not
fair question.
know that answer. So yeah, we try to keep government separate from.
But we have a tree lighting.
There are other elements that go into that. There's a menorah, and there's usually there's something to recognize Kwanzaa at the appropriate time too. So they try to same Easter used to be the Easter hat thing. Now it's spring something. I mean, they've done everything to try to make it.
Egg roll or something.
Yeah.
There's the adult
like
Easter,
well,
or the adult egg hunt.
Yes, that's
Easter was taken
out. So they've made a move, I would say, even in the last 5 years to remove those things that have just sort of historically been ingrained.
Got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but still a good question.
A very good question.
Yep.
Always a good question. I mean, maybe it could change again. We don't know.
Yep. So that's all I have on the agenda for tonight, unless there's anything missing.
Wrap us up early.
I know, I'm going to wrap us up early. Well, I mean, we are missing a few key folks, and so I'm pretty sure we're going to make up for it next month. I think next month is going to be, we're going to be working hard to finish on time.
And this might apply to you, Steve. I'm also an alternate, and I'm still trying to figure out about committees because we're supposed to be part of the subcommittees.
The subcommittees are, I mean, to be fair, they are a fairly, there's not a lot of structure with those committees. Those were groups that were formed based around project ideas that had been put forward by some board members. So for example, food access, Bev and Refugio, because of their work that they were doing with Growing Home and their knowledge of the South Westminster area and the lack of food access for a lot of folks, it became sort of a de facto subcommittee just so that we could follow what's happening there with, just have continual awareness of anything happening to help alleviate that issue. Kind of keeps it in everybody's mind as well as we sort of go through different presentations from different groups, or if, folks come across information that's potentially actionable. So that is not a formal subcommittee. It's a subject matter that happens. We happen to have two members who are very focused in on that particular issue area.
Well, it's just that I was looking at the subcommittee reports that come through.
Right.
And what I might glom myself onto or not. To be of assistance. And
feel free to.
But I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what everyone's doing.
Right, exactly. And it does feel, and it does feel like we are, the city as a whole is starting to focus on the homeless issue in a much more significant way. We've certainly talked about it in our board meetings, even prior to you joining us. It has been a big issue. So if you have any particular projects that you'd like to propose that we maybe start working on, that would become maybe a proposal to council, since that's kind of what we do, right? If you wanted to even start your own subcommittee on the homeless issue that we have in town, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't propose to start a project.
Well, and that's what I had suggested last time about an idea of just a task force kind of a thing, which is leading to Kate coming next month.
Right.
And
maybe Kate will have some ideas of things that we can explore to propose to council or that type of thing. So maybe we wait until October, see what Kate has to say. And if you feel passionately about something that you think we could start working on, maybe that becomes its own subcommittee. So these are more, again, based on ideas that had been put forward on projects, things that we could work on that could become proposals later. So.
Got it.
Cool. Well,
Donna has her hand
up. Oh, Donna does have her hand up. Thank you. Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you for recognizing me, Michelle. I may be wrong, and maybe some of the rest of you that have been on the board here with me for the last several years. I was under the impression in the past that when we established these committees and these teams and all, that the alternates were not part of those because they're not voting members of the board. I may be wrong, and I off base with this. Maybe Rich can help me, or Seth.
That's a good question.
I guess maybe we just need some clarification on that, and just contrasting a little bit to what you said. But that was my impression in the past, that when we had these teams and committees, that alternates were not a part of them.
Well, I don't recall that, Donna. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But
maybe it's another organization I belong to.
Yeah, the non-voting members. But as far as participation is concerned, honestly, I see no problem with it. But I don't recall a decision either way. Maybe someone else does.
I was under the impression that we got some information regarding that through the city. So I don't know, Cody, maybe do you know on other boards, are there alternates participating in voting and so forth and so on?
My understanding is the voting is only for board members.
Yes.
But I don't know that I think that it's up to the board's participation. I think we're a unique board in that we have the subcommittees, and we've had those conversations about what we can do in open meetings law and that sort of thing. I think this is the only board that's doing that. So there's not sort of a precedent set.
Okay.
I mean, my opinion would be, if you want it, I'm happy to give one. Everybody has on their nose. The more the merrier, right? And the more hands in something, sometimes the more you can accomplish. Sometimes not always, but there's no reason that Steve and Alan couldn't join one of the subcommittees and contribute to them, because ultimately the board is still the group of people making that decision, right?
Okay.
That's that's a thought. Yeah.
I think that participation and the diversity of participation is valuable.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we can definitely check on it just to be.
I don't think we need to check. I mean, we can check our bylaws. That would be the only place it's going to be is in our bylaws.
Right.
Cody's going to tell you guys this. Just remember, we can't be meeting more than two of you together to talk about a policy issue unless we're posting it for the whole public to join.
Right.
So just as a reminder.
Yep.
As of when I have the floor on this particular thing. And that's supersedes us, right? That's Colorado State law.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm going to open our bylaws over here.
Yep.
Just take me a second. And then that would say something, but I don't even recall that being in the bylaws. So.
Yes, don't even worry about that. We can address it. If you do find that there is a restriction, we can address that in maybe the next meeting. All right. Well, if there isn't anything else anyone from the board wants to bring up, then I would like to call this meeting adjourned at 7. Oh, no, Seth is waving his hand.
Is she saying goodbye?
That was goodbye.
Oh, okay, great. So we are adjourned as of 7:25. Nice. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Adios, shalom, salam.
Have a lovely September, everybody.
Alan.